I hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday afternoon. It's okay. I'm about ready to go and get some sleep. Funny, when I do this channel, I sit there and pretty much tell you little nuances about my personal life, like it really matters to y'all. But I'm just gonna relax right now, have a beer, and talk about some politics, particularly Afghanistan, since it's on the news lately. The pullout from Afghanistan is long overdue. And it's not even a partisan issue. At one time, it was a partisan issue, even though both parties more or less were unanimous with that Washington consensus and voted to go into Afghanistan, go into Iraq, and all of that. It became less partisan over the years. At first, it was the fiery progressives, the anti-war liberal left that were in favor of a peaceful foreign policy. And then eventually, some conservatives started to join in the chorus, and it became no more of a partisan issue. Everyone from Barbara Lee, Dennis Kucinich, and Tulsi Gabbard on the left, all the way to the late Walter Jones, Justin Amash, and Ron Paul on the right, favor withdrawing from Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, one can make an argument that 9/11 in itself might have justified going into Afghanistan temporarily. And I say this as a relative pacifist. Iraq, however, was never, ever justified. Never. Because there was not one bit of a connection between Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden. I've been saying this for the last 20 years, and you'd be surprised how many dumbasses think that they were linked. Going after Osama bin Laden was justified. And, I had my questions to whether he should have been shot, but certainly captured and certainly, put in prison for what he did. And so the after that mission was accomplished, it was time to pull out of Afghanistan because it was like hundreds of billions of dollars, about $1 trillion really spent in Afghanistan and Iraq combined. Several $1 trillion went into this, and it's time for a pullout. And I've been hearing it from across the political spectrum that it's time to pull out. Now, I think that Barack Obama wanted to pull out of Afghanistan, but he didn't. And my theory is that he did not want to give the appearance of what Tea Party people were insinuating about Barack Obama. They're the ones who kept on yapping away about birth certificates and is he a Muslim? That kind of nonsense. And I think that Obama was trying not to appear or to the conspiracy theories or let the conspiracy theories gain traction among the ignoramuses that perpetuated it. And I think that for tactical reasons, he decided to not put up a fight as far as taking troops out of Afghanistan. With regard to Donald Trump, I kind of do think he tried. However, the neocons that were around him, the establishment, it was an uneasy relationship with between the neocons and Trump, and I think that they tied his hands enough that they wouldn't allow it. So I really do believe that Obama and Trump both were not supportive of this invasion of the occupation of Afghanistan, long after, especially when Osama bin Laden was captured and killed. It's ironic that Biden, who is the epitome of the establishment, seemed to have the balls to do just this. And of course, people are getting partisan. Even people who were saying America first, let's withdraw from the world. And here's an example where there's some withdrawals taking place, something that should be welcome, no matter what political side of the fence you're from. And he's getting criticized. But I think that the fact that he's the epitome of establishment seemed to score high points with me with regard to Biden. No, I will not vote for him in 2024. If he's running in 2024, I will more likely vote third party. Um, but suffice to say that my previous really low opinion of Joe Biden improved marginally with his pullout. And the fact that Fox News is up to their old neocon tricks with their talking points makes the pullout out of Afghanistan even more justified. Well, George W. Bush weighed in. And so I'm going to go and share you George W. Bush's words, and we shall discuss this afterwards. Give me a moment.
The Taliban regime is coming to an end.
Former U.S. President George W. Bush, who ordered American forces to invade Afghanistan 20 years ago, on Monday said he and his wife felt, quote, deep sadness watching the chaotic U.S. withdrawal and the Taliban rapidly recapture the country. In a letter, George and Laura Bush wrote, quote, our hearts are heavy for both the Afghan people who suffered so much and for the Americans and NATO allies who have sacrificed so much. Under Bush, U.S. forces toppled the Taliban government in Kabul, who had hosted al-Qaeda militants responsible for the 2001 hijacked plane attacks in New York and Washington. That decision led to 2 decades of haphazard counterinsurgency and effort at nation building that the Pentagon estimates cost almost $825 billion. And it all seemed to dissolve in just a few days. The Bushes spoke directly to the American service members who battled militants and built roads in Afghanistan, writing, quote, you took out a brutal enemy and denied al-Qaeda safe haven while building schools, sending supplies, and providing medical care. You kept America safe from further terror attacks, provided 2 decades of security and opportunity for millions, and made America proud. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts and will always honor your contributions. But that message might not mean much in Bentonville, Arkansas, where Jill Stephenson remembers her son, Army Ranger Ben Kopp. Kopp was 21 when he was killed in a firefight with Taliban forces in 2009, one of more than 2,300 U.S. military personnel who died there since the invasion.
I do not feel that my son died in vain. I think it's important for me to make that clear. I don't believe that him being there was all for naught.
But the Taliban takeover has stirred strong emotions in this Gold Star mother.
It's very sad and maddening to watch 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears by thousands, tens of thousands of our military just get wiped off, wiped away in the blink of an eye.
Stevenson said she's deeply worried for the future of the Afghan civilians she believes her son was able to help before he died.
I heard firsthand from a 7-year-old little girl the things that she was able to do in her life and the things that she had to look forward to because of the sacrifices made. My heart breaks for her now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, there are things to say about that. That that George W. Bush and his wife Laura Bush, regretted seeing this taking place with regard to things like schools, roads, and medical care being, available to the people of Afghanistan. Great. But what about U.S. people? The U.S. needs schools, needs repair roads, and we sure as hell need medical care, asshole. And you're going to sit there and talk, and with all the bloodshed that's happened over the last 2 decades because of your damn incompetence, You were just satisfied with killing people as the governor of Texas, leading all 50 states in executions. You had a bloodlust and you had a score to settle because your daddy got his little feelings hurt by Saddam Hussein in 1990, 1991. And the thing about it is, hundreds or more thousands of people died as a result. Our economy is just about ready to collapse because of the bullshit of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. They have ruined this country. They have put this country under strains of debt, which is why we can't have nice things like healthcare, free college, Green New Deal, because of this horrible way of handling what happened on 9/11. And it's the neocons, the unholy alliance of people from the military industrial complex, some of these think tanks, and the religious right, working together. All of them no better than the radical fundamentalists in the Middle East when you combine all those mindsets together. And right now, we're seeing the culture war taking place on an issue that shouldn't even be considered part of the culture war, and that is the necessity of instant pullout out of Afghanistan now. Just think about one of the few good things Biden is doing with this pullout. Everybody's giving him a lot of shit for it, and he could have done it better, granted, but it was certainly better than the status quo of staying in there, costing taxpayers billions, if not trillions, over a decade. And I mean, for what? For what? There's no reason to remain in Afghanistan. They are not going to become a superpower once the United States leave. They're a landlocked country. They don't have the capabilities of creating nuclear weapons programs or things like that. And here's the thing. I mean, as much as I'm anti-war, I mean, if the Taliban tries some shit, they ought to know what's going to happen with them. Think about it is, lives are going to be saved now with this pullout. Billions would be saved, hundreds of billions, in fact, and lives would be saved. American soldier lives would be saved. But while George W. Bush is sitting there being a painter, painting little happy pictures here and there, just like I said with Marjorie Taylor Greene, she can keep her Twitter account, but tweet away from behind bars for her role on January 6th. Well, we're going to talk about people who actually are worse than Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, there are people worse than Marjorie Taylor Greene. As far as I know, she didn't kill anybody. George W. Bush murdered hundreds of thousands of people. Dick Cheney murdered hundreds of thousands of people. Paul Wolfowitz murdered hundreds of thousands of people. Condoleezza Rice murdered hundreds of thousands of people. Dean Haskell murdered hundreds of thousands of people. The late Donald Rumsfeld murdered hundreds of thousands of people. They should be behind bars. Now, George W. Bush can be behind bars and he can sit there and paint little happy pictures and all of that. He could be the Bob Ross of war criminals. The thing about it is that this war has perpetuated so long, 2 decades. 2 decades. We had enough of this. We need to try something new. and perpetual, endless wars needs to stop. George W. Bush, as I said, the man that's made the world less safe, the man that collapsed the U.S. economy, almost brought it to a depression, the man that brought us, more terrible politicians following suit. I mean, you know, when is this shit's going to stop? If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, well, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Peace, class struggle, and, well, withdraw. Withdraw a non-aggressive, pro-peace foreign policy for a change. Later.